I will now call to order the special city council meeting of May 1st, 2024. Members of the public are invited to attend in-person meetings in council chambers. Public access to the meeting is also available by telephone by using the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda. Meetings are broadcast on Channel 8 for Comcast and Xfinity subscribers and on the city's YouTube channel online. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Leidy,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Luke Manjaro-Massa,
Here.
Councilmember Burns,
Here.
Councilmember Jaramillo,
Here.
Councilmember Kondo,
Here.
Councilmember Roper,
Here.
Councilmember Goff,
Here.
Councilmember Nowicki,
Here.
Councilmember Walker.
Here.
Thank you.
I do still feel we should say the pledge, if that's okay. It's not on the agenda, so please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to move into public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Statements are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements must be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. City Clerk Small, is there anyone signed up to speak to council tonight?
Yes, there is one individual who signed up in advance, and that is Melissa Ryan.
All right, please come forward. State your name and address or ward and provide your comments to council.
Yes, my name is Melissa Ryan, and I live at 11661 Lincoln Street in North Glen. I am here today as a North Glen resident who felt disappointed and disrespected by Faith Winter. On April 3rd, I came as a North Glen resident to speak about my concerns on the new treatment facility being placed in our small city. I felt vulnerable, nervous, and scared to share my story and thoughts in front of so many people. I'm not one for public speaking, but when an issue of serious concerns that affects my family and city arises, I felt compelled to come forward and share. Faith Winter decided that day to come unprepared, unconcerned, and drunk. She was in no condition to listen to her constituents that showed up to speak. Due to her drunken state, she showed and proved to me that she does not care about me, you, or North Glen. My mom, wise and loving woman she is, raised me and all my siblings with the understanding that actions have consequences. I am now a proud and loving mom of 2. I have raised them with the same understanding that actions have consequences. I'm here today to show them just that. I'm here to ask my city council members to vote in favor of filing a formal ethics complaint against Faith Winters. Show her and our city that you believe actions have consequences. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who did not have a chance to sign up that would like to speak to council? All right, moving into resolutions. Our first resolution, or only one tonight, CR 98. Will the clerk read the title, please?
A resolution authorizing the filing of an ethics complaint against State Senator Faith Winter based on her conduct at the City of North Glen community meeting dated April 3rd, 2024.
Move for approval.
Seconded.
All right, City Attorney Hoffman is here to provide a summary of this item.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. At the October 22nd City Council meeting, you asked me to research and come back to you with a potential process related to the filing of an ethics complaint against Senator Winter. As a result of that, this resolution and attached letter for the mayor's signature is brought forward for your consideration under, and I will be the first to admit this is an area that I was not at all familiar with in terms of dealing with how the Colorado State Senate rules. It is not my world, but based on my review of the rules, this is the mechanism, if council chooses to do so, for filing a formal ethics complaint against Senator Winter. And the resolution and the proposed complaint are based on what I understood were the issues that caused you all concern and triggered the request to bring this forward. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
there any discussion?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you were using questions.
So, I mean, questions or discussion? Questions or discussion? Councilmember Goff?
Thank you. I just want to say, I want to acknowledge and appreciate our residents who come and that it was a disappointing experience to have someone that we were expecting to be representing us to show up at a meeting and behave in the way that she did. And I would like to hear some more about how, when we first discussed this, that her behavior was damaging to North Glen, because I feel like she damaged her own reputation. And if we're talking about accountability, that's going to come for her at the next election. That's generally how our elected representatives have consequences. So, and since compassion is a guiding principle in my life, I really have difficulty with why we would want to do this. I'm not sure what it's going to accomplish. And so would like to hear some discussion.
Absolutely. I will answer a small piece of that in the sense that the upcoming election will hold no consequence because she is term. So that's not an opportunity for any sort of accountability. But I'm sure we can keep the conversation going. Councilmember Nowicki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I, like many of you, was shocked and saddened by Senator Winter's demeanor at the community meeting on April 3rd. I think CR 98 does a pretty good job of laying out the case for filing a formal ethics complaint based on the incident, and I do intend to vote yes on the resolution. Having said that, as someone who helps those seeking treatment from substance use disorders professionally, and as someone who has struggled with an alcohol use disorder himself in the past, I know firsthand that the disease of alcohol is what the disease of alcoholism looks like. According to the 2022 National Survey on Drug Use and Health, 1 in 10 people over the age of 12 was diagnosed with an alcohol use disorder in the past year. Addiction does not discriminate by age, race, or political affiliation. It can be difficult and painful to be held accountable for past misdeeds done under the influence, but accountability is a cornerstone of recovery, and especially important as an elected official. Senator Winter, my hope for you is that this will be the line that prompts you to say enough is enough. You do not have to live every day in pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. For as much as Colorado is a state that celebrates its beer and cannabis culture, it is also home to a wonderful community recovering from the deleterious nature of these substances who live sober lives every day, including mothers, fathers, and yes, elected officials. The path to recovery is not easy, but it is worth it. Please, Senator Winter, continue to get help for your constituents, your family, and for yourself. Thank you.
Councilmember Burns?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with you, Councilmember Goff, of having compassion and having empathy. I wholeheartedly do. However, as a state representative, as we are here, our job is to make decisions. Her job is to make decisions for even more people. How can we know that she's making the best decisions for us while she is suffering from this disease and not seeking help and not getting the help that she needs? To me, that's a failure of duties, and that is cause for termination for any other person who's working. I often think about, if someone in our organization showed up drunk allegedly to their daily work, what would happen to them? Would they get to work for 2 more years and then be let go? Or would we fire them very quickly? I feel that I have empathy. My first job was working for a nonprofit organization called Women for Sobriety, where I helped, facilitate with women who were getting sober, who were getting help outside of the 12-step program, which can oftentimes lead to sexual assault, misogyny, and that sort of thing. And so I've seen women who, you know, you need to hit rock bottom multiple times. You need to want to get better. And so I would like to see that from our representatives. They're supposed to be role models. We're supposed to be role models. And I think oftentimes we see in politics, more than we would like, that politicians will protect those in power and those with power and leave those without it behind. And I think this is a great moment to hold someone in power and with power accountable for their actions. That's even a step in recovery, is making sure you're holding yourself accountable for your past actions. And I think this would be a really great step in that. That's fine. So I will be voting yes. I do have empathy. It's really hard watching people suffer through this. I have in my life, and in professional and personal life. And this is really, really hard. I have empathy for her, but I'm putting our residents and our job first over my personal feelings for her. And that's sort of my piece on this. Thank you.
Councilmember Roper?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with my council mates here. I think empathy and accountability do not negate each other. They do not cancel each other out. And as Councilmember Burns said, if you're an educator, if you're a religious leader, police officer, firefighter, you're put in a position of trust. You're put in a position of higher power. And even as it says in Rule 41, these offices must be performed with integrity in the public interest. And what happened here was our public interest was not to be front of the thought. Yes, we're disappointed, but moreover, and I've said this several times, our residents deserve more than this. We deserve more than this. And when we think about the duties that are outlined, I just started doing some background research. If we think about the duties that are outlined as a senator, they hold so much power, you know, fiscally, legislatively, and we have to hold our elected officials accountable. And I do believe in second chances. I do believe in empathy, passion. At the same time, there is accountability. It's a real, and that would be, just like you said, for any of us in this position, we would be held accountable. And it's really important.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will also start out saying that I've said this before, is I also have empathy for her. I've said that I do hope that this is a catalyst for her to get treatment. I was very disappointed in actually reading, because that's how I found out that she only had minor home treatment and then was back on the Senate floor. That to me is not entering into a serious recovery program. I do wish that this is potentially, as was mentioned before, her rock bottom. So from here, hopefully, you know, she can only go up. But with that being said, she needs to face the consequences. We've heard from multiple residents that they are very disappointed in the behaviors and her intoxication, showing up at the meeting and presenting herself in that manner. And that has consequences. As was said before, like, none of us can show up in a city council meeting intoxicated and speak in that manner and be okay. We'd be removed in some way, shape, or form. We would face repercussions. As the resident mentioned here, actions have consequences. And unfortunately, I think these are tough consequences, but I think it's needed. I think it needs to send a clear message, as was stated before, that the senator has high responsibilities. Even if she was not in a public office, was not holding a public office, if she were employed by anyone else, this would not be acceptable. You would be fired. You cannot show up to a job in this manner. So for all of those reasons, I'm hopeful that she will get treatment, but I do think that we need to send the message to the Senate that this is not okay. She violated Rule 41, Section A.5, and should face the consequences for that. And also, hopefully, this helps her get help, because she needs it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Walker?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank Ms. Ryan and the residents who I can't see but who are there tonight, and Mr. Corey for putting together such a great letter, wonderfully written, and thank you for the help on this. That is all, Mayor.
Before I speak, I want to double check that Councilmember Kondo and Jaramillo, do you want to comment, or are you good?
Good.
Councilmember Kondo, do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think that I'm very much in agreement with the majority of the days. I think that in this current day and age, when there is a erosion of trust and confidence in public institutions, it caused me to think about the fact that public institutions are staffed by people. And it's people that make public institutions work. And it's also, I think, a certain special position of power and authority. And that the people that elect us into this position have expectations of higher standards of conduct. And the reason why I say that is, you know, I go back and I think about my career when I was a naval officer. And, you know, we had not only just regular civil laws to live under, but we had the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And that was to ensure that we were even held to higher standards than what your average civilian is. Now, there's not an equivalent in government, but I do think that most people have an expectation that we accord ourselves to a higher level of integrity, ethics, and conduct. And when we fail to meet that mark, it just totally destroys that level of confidence and trust in our leaders and in our public institutions. So when I think about this particular instance, and I will also be voting in favor of this resolution, it is important to hold people accountable. And when things are going wrong, to just kind of accept that, oh, you know, she'll be out of office in a couple of years. I don't think that's correct. I think that if there's a problem, you try and identify it and hold people accountable right away. Otherwise, you're just perpetuating this culture of acceptance of mediocre behavior or substandard behavior. And that's just going to continue to erode in our public offices. So I too am in favor, definitely am in agreement with much of the comments that have been made previously. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Goff?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a question, I think, for Attorney Hoffman. So the intent or the final nuts and bolts of this letter is to request President Feinberg to convene a Senate Committee of Ethics. And so then they would take, I guess, whatever evidence that we or other people would provide. And I'm not sure, what's the next step? What happens there?
So how the Senate president deals with this in practice, frankly, I don't know. I've outlined in the memo to you all what the rule says about what the options are, but in practice, how that will play out, I have no idea. We are in the last, roughly week of session. There is a process set forth in the rules, but again, how that process is implemented in the real world down at the Capitol, I don't know. I just know that the filing of this complaint starts that process.
If they don't get to it this session, is it available or a possibility that they would pick it up next session?
I don't think this is triggered necessarily by the session. I think there was a desire to get this to her to the president while the Senate is in session. But a senator's term doesn't end, and there's activities at the Senate even when session is not occurring. They're just not in session. I think it's just a desire to get this while it is in session to hopefully have this at least looked at while the Senate as a whole is in session.
I guess what I'm just trying to get at is whether or not there will be any accountability beyond just this publicized letter that we just don't know.
We just don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am going to add something that I deliberated. I wasn't sure if I was going to say it I'm not trying to add insult to injury for her, but I will say that we met with a senator a couple of weeks ago about 1 week before this community meeting, and to my belief, she was intoxicated at that meeting as well with our council members. And I felt very, very concerned during that meeting. I felt very concerned. Her behaviors were exactly the same at the community meeting. And this is another reason why it is my strong belief that this really needs to be escalated so that she can get the help that she needs, because this is obviously a very it's an ongoing issue. And the rumors circulating around the Capitol that this is accepted is only going to end up getting her or someone else hurt. She needs help. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So I appreciate all of the comments from council and again, thank our residents for coming forward. We have also received emails from residents that couldn't make it tonight that share Ms. Ryan's sentiments as far as being horrified and really offended about the behavior that evening. I think a couple of things in addition to what my council colleagues have shared is this was not a single incident, as the Mayor Pro Tem just mentioned. This has been an ongoing history of behavior, and she has been talked to about it. I believe that it is our job to stand up for our residents, but also to not just sweep this incident under the rug. There were close to 400 people in attendance. We cannot just look the other way and not call attention to it. Senator Winter did reach out. She sent a letter. She's asking for empathy from our city council. It's curious to me because, as we've discussed, as elected officials, there's no true recourse. She doesn't have a boss that's going to fire her. But as Councilmember Burns said, any other profession, there would be an HR investigation and a possible termination for that level of behavior that we saw. But there's no recourse for elected officials. We can't wait for another election, especially when she's not up for re-election. We are charged with holding each other accountable. That's the only way that any behavior is going to be addressed. And we've taken an oath of office, so did she. There is a certain standard of behavior. The curious part for me is that Senator Winter herself has taken part. She has fought to hold other elected officials accountable for behavior that she deemed to be poor behavior. And so I feel like this is a little bit, I don't know, it's a little insulting for her not to understand that this is what we need to do. But also, to Councilmember Goff's point, that this is just a letter. All we're doing here is saying we are offended by this behavior and we're asking the Senate to do something. What they do from here is up to them. I would hope, based on conversations that I have had with her colleagues at the Capitol, that they do take action because they should have a long time ago. So my disappointment does not stop with Senator Winter, and I would ask all of our state senators to stand up and do the right thing because they haven't so far. They've seen her intoxicated at the Capitol, knowing that she drove there and drove home. That's the issue, right? Her alcoholism, her disease, what she's suffering from, totally separate from the fact that she's getting behind a wheel and putting so many people at risk by doing that. So that is my personal point, is the fact that drinking on the job is offensive and probably she should be fired for, but driving is next level breaking the law. And it's horrifying to me that this has gone on for as many years as it has. So I'm definitely a yes vote. And if there's no further discussion, I'm going to call for the vote.
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Councilmember Kondo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Walker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. I will close that vote, and CR 98 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Our final item tonight is public invited to be heard. This is another opportunity for public comment. Statements are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments must be related to the item previously addressed tonight. Is there anyone who would like to speak to council at this time? Come on back. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you for listening to us. You guys saw the behavior. I do hope that Senator Winter gets the help that she needs, but I do not believe that she's in the condition to continue doing her job that she was elected to do in the state that she presented herself. So thank you, because I do feel that hopefully she's watching, hopefully the other senators are watching. They understand that we're not going to stand for this type of behavior. You're an elected official. We expect better of you. And thank you guys for listening to us and bringing this to the floor. Even if it doesn't develop into anything more, at least we know as city members that our representatives are listening to us and do care. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. There being no further items, we are adjourned.